Cool.
Okay, so what's Prop 14?
All right, guys. So this proposition is kind of, in a way, near and dear to my heart, although I don't know it in as much detail as I would like, specifically around what CIRM is, which is the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine. But so what Prop 14 is, in a nutshell, is, I'll give you a little bit of history on it first.
What's the title?
It's called the Stem Cell Research Bond Initiative.
Okay. Well, can you just give me what the yes and no is first, and then go into the history, just so I'm like aware of what you're talking about?
So the yes on this says, yes, California should issue $5.5 billion in general obligation bonds to fund the stem cell research, the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine.
Okay.
A no says no. And then you don't issue those bonds. And essentially that organization is out of money. Like
this is the only way they get funding.
Yeah, this is how they get funded.
Okay.
So it basically would be kind of shutting that down.
Dang, so the voters have to do this every time? Why are the voters? I guess that's part of the history.
Well, so part of the history was in 2004, there was $3 billion voted for it as part of Prop, I think it was 73.
Okay.
And so people voted for it. People were like really enthusiastic about stem cell research. It was a big topic at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this proposed because of an ethical situation? Like how they still get
proposed because they need the bonds
initially
went out. Now they have to get more money.
Okay.
Well, so that's the practical. Yes, the bonds have run out. The $3 billion they'd done, 15 years ago has run out, and so they need more funding. But the initial proposal did come from an ethical situation where Bush had basically banned a lot of government support for stem cell research.
Because they were using fetuses.
Yeah. So is this still contentious? Is this still the source of like using fetuses to get stem cells?
They don't need to do that anymore.
New method?
Yeah,
that's what I thought. There's a new method.
They don't need to do that anymore.
They don't need to, but I think it's still part of the research, and I think there's still groups of people who are upset about that.
Okay.
So that's still out there. It's still
okay.
Kind of creates some controversy around this.
That's my thought immediately thinking of stem cells is like, is this controversial still?
Yeah.
And how many people out there think that you're killing babies to get stem cells?
I think there's quite a few.
People don't give a shit that you're killing rats all the time to try to come up with medicines.
Yeah,
people really don't give a shit about that, and they're going through rats like, dang, just cracking skulls. You're done, crack. You're done, crack. Injection, crack, just cracking skulls.
Yeah,
I
so
think
really,
that's part of the problem with stem cells and the misconception to it. Okay,
so we did this initial $3 billion basically because we were like, all right, if Bush is going to shut this down essentially across the country, where you can't fund this type of research, California is going to step up and we're going to say, we're going to become a hub for this type of research and we're going to fund it through a bond measure.
Great.
And so I immediately went to like, what is a bond? Like I didn't really really understand what a bond was.
Like a loan.
Yeah, it's like a loan, right?
From the government.
It's used to raise money. Corporations, governments can issue bonds, and so basically, like, it's just a loan, but it's backed by the government, so it's guaranteed, and the taxpayers are on the hook for paying back that loan. So
the $8 to $12 billion that we get from
here's a deficit.
The last
here's a deficit line item.
Yeah. So here we go. So to summarize, they want to borrow $5.5 billion, and basically that means taxpayers over the next 30 years would be on the hook for $260 million per year. Is what issuing
for the next how many years?
30 years.
Okay.
So that's what issuing $5.5 billion in bonds, loans would do to the taxpayer.
So last time they did this, it was only 15 years. We would be on the hook for X amount for 15 years, and now we're...
Yeah, so this would be for 30 years.
Okay.
$5.5 billion.
And so why do they need the government at this point to step in? Why can't somebody else provide them the loan?
Yeah, so that's a great question.
What do they do?
Yeah, so what do they do? So essentially they've funded thousands of early stage stem cell research projects
Super important.
over the course of the last 15 years. The people who are against this and speak out against CERM in general basically say, like, we passed Prop 71 and you promised us the world. You said you were going to cure like Alzheimer's and all these diseases.
71 was the older bill.
Prop 71 was the one that gave the $3 billion initially. Like, you promised us all this stuff and like none of that's happened. Like, where has all this money gone? Why should we keep,
where's the deliverables from 71?
Yeah.
From 15
And so,
years ago.
And then people who are for this basically say, we've created a research juggernaut here in California for this type of work. It has created a lot of jobs, and it's but it's a lot of it's, this is science. It's early stage stuff. Like, you don't really know. Like, there's no guarantee. You just have to keep working at it until eventually you figure something out.
Well,
it's not like manufacturing something you already know how to do.
Yeah, I'm a practical person, and I think that there should be some form of measuring success and failures for this. So I would be curious to know how much money has gone into production, like proper, actual moving forward with something, an actual deliverable that gives me some positive from this research.
Yeah, and I think that's like the people who are against this have basically said, they're like, I don't know what's come from this. But with kind of a lot of this early stage research, there's kind of so many building blocks that have to happen. And unfortunately, I can't speak to what these are, but there are some articles out there that have spoken to a lot of these building blocks. They've knocked some down and they're like, now we understand this and now we understand that.
We're essentially at the point where we're now growing tissue.
I think that's fantastic.
Right?
I mean, I'm all for stem cell research with proper, I guess, oversight of the money and oversight of managing the science.
Yeah. So,
like, I don't want to see, in the name of science, I'm going to splash water and electricity and see if I don't get shocked,
At the same time, though, I get the concern of having oversight, but to provide the detail and oversight in a way that not just you or myself or the layperson would even understand would be so convoluted to provide in a bill like this. Like, you essentially have to be like, okay, we're going to have, out of the $5.5 billion,
that's fair.
I'm going to have 13 programs this year that run at this, and then you have operation costs, you have research costs, you have the intended goals of the studies.
So this is $5.5 billion over the course of 30 years.
That's how long the bonds are paid back.
Oh.
I don't know about that's paying off the loan essentially, but I don't know how long that 5.5 is supposed to last.
Yeah.
$3 billion lasted 15 years.
Assuming
since 2004.
You're saying it was for a 15-year, like that's confirmed. Like, we were supposed to pay that back over 15 years, not 30 years, because we could still be paying back that, and now we're adding another. Right.
I'm not sure if we're still paying for the initial $3 billion. I think.
No, that's an important question to ask.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't.
But
know
my other question is, why can't they get a loan elsewhere if they've shown that they're doing
they,
valuable work? Why do they need government subsidy?
Well, that's exactly. It's because of what Bush did. Bush basically said this type of so like.
Oh, it's still in effect?
Yeah. When you're doing early stage research, right? Like, it's not something that private capital will typically invest in, because it's too expensive and it's too far out before you'll see something that can be commercialized.
Sure.
And a lot of like the National Institute of Health and stuff like that, a lot of that.
I don't know. $5 billion doesn't sound like much.
They've sunk
for the potentiality of what it could cure, what it could save, what it could fix.
That doesn't sound like much.
Yeah, and I should probably add in here that like I had a spinal cord injury back in 2003, right around when 71 was happening, and and so I did a lot of, I met with UC Irvine a number of times and like met with some of their scientists and what they were doing with stem cell research, and so it's near and dear to me that like that this research is supported, right? Whether it's on the backs of California taxpayers or not, I don't know. But it's one of those things where it's just, it's like, does California want to pay for continuing this type of scientific research? I mean, this is kind of what it boils down to for me. Like,
I'm supportive of it. I would just like to know, it's like, why do you still need government funding.
Yeah,
But if you're barred from providing private money to it, then maybe that's the issue.
Well, and that's what was the issue in 71. I don't know if that's still the issue today.
Yeah. And when you say 71, you're not saying 1971, you're saying Proposition 71, which was in 2006.
In 2004.
Four.
All right, 2004.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely not one of the more controversial ones. I say, why not?
It's a little more clear cut on like what it is,
Not so
but at the same
political.
time,
I mean, it could be political.
The-
if we
yeah.
had issues with like, well, they shouldn't be doing that.
What's
because,
what's political, I think, is the methodology of how stem cells were originally retrieved.
Yeah.
And I think that now we're past that. I think that needs to be more public knowledge.
Someone out there is like, you shouldn't be changing the nature of things.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is
Fuck
in
that motherfucker. You know what?
Someone's like that.
I don't know if this is in that or not, but I also think in this bill there should be like, hey, if we're giving you $5.5 billion, like you got to restructure some stuff. Like you got to show us the like, I don't know. I feel like you gotta like there should be something to help us.
What's your business plan?
Yeah, like report on, all right, how's this gonna go? What are you planning on doing?
I still think that.
And that was one of the complaints initially, that there wasn't enough transparency to how this money was being spent.
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair too.
I
And
mean,
I think
just-
that goes back to
yeah.
all these other propositions, how the money is being
Transparent.
spent. But
Not
this
a lot of transparency in a lot of
morally, ethically, I see no issues with it. I think it would be a step backwards if we deny this funding.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like unwinding like 15 years worth of work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll just close all this down.
But where would that information go? Who else is doing this research outside of California with
I know
these
Texas
types
is
of
doing
steps?
some stuff. And
I mean, there's research, there's a lot of colleges across the U.S. that are doing incredible research into stem cells.
But are they just going to be like, all right, cool, California's closing. Let's go and take
Also,
over their assets?
where are we?
Word.
Where are we at with? Oh man, those California schools, those properties. That
Yeah, if
they
I was
own.
in Texas, I'd be like, I don't want anything to do with Berkeley. Those people are going to change their manhole covers to person hole covers.
No, they
Bunch of
didn't
weirdos.
do that.
Yeah.
No. What I'm saying is that back to the other bill, the university that bought its property, all that property value is going to shoot up because the property value of a university setting is going to be huge.
I don't know if that qualifies as commercial or industrial, though.
Oh yeah, you're right because it's an institution. So for this bill, it seems like one of my questions is also with genetic like CRISPR type stuff that they're doing, where they're doing like changing
Sounds
people's
delicious.
genes, right? They're changing people's genes. Like, and I know there was a huge controversy about it, about the guy who I think he was a Chinese doctor or a Chinese scientist who cured AIDS from these two like unborn fetuses or like unborn children or something like that. Like they were gonna be birthed and he like changed their genes in utero or something like that, and then they cured them of AIDS. You guys not remember this? This was a huge like.
I thought he came back as it was false. It was.
I think he received huge like condemnation from other scientists. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're changing people's genes.
I think I remember this, and I think it came out that this was actually false information. That this actually didn't happen. That he
It was
faked
put
it.
on NPR.
I don't know. There's something
I'll
that
help
came
us
out.
out here.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
guy that did CRISPR. I wonder with stuff
I don't know
with
what that
stuff
is.
like that, is that going to overtake? Is that going to overtake our like stem cell stuff? Like, is that going to be more important than stem cells? Like, you skipped over the technology. Like,
Yeah,
can you find it? Like the CRISPR, the guy who used CRISPR to cure AIDS. He's a Chinese guy.
Looking it up right now. New research suggests, this is 2019. New research suggests that controversial gene editing experiment to make children resistant to HIV may have also enhanced their ability to learn and form memories. What?
Oh, so there's consequences now. Consequences.
Positive ones, or possibly not.
I don't remember all the shit stuff.
The brains of the two genetically edited girls born in China last year
Yeah, they were
may
twins.
have been changed in ways that enhance cognition and memory.
Enhance.
Mm-hmm.
Super
Yep.
We're already fucked, man. We're already behind. We didn't get the CRISPR.
Yeah, we're screwed.
Holy crap.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's also this thing that the people, regular people, don't know. Is CRISPR gene editing gonna take over things like stem cells? Or is that overlapping, or is there distinction? Right? Because could you change your genes to regenerate things a little bit better than like you don't need to go into the stem cell stuff. And
Yeah, it's kind of like a lot of third world countries where like they never did landlines; they just went straight to cell phones.
yeah.
Like who knows? Like maybe this could be the same type of thing. Like
Yeah,
maybe
that's the only
turns
question
out
I
this
have.
isn't the right path.
Like, I think this is a great idea for stem cells. I'm just wondering, like, scientifically, I don't know. I would be curious if this has overlap with that kind of.
So these are the Lulu and Nana twins.
Anyway, I don't have internet. I just have a computer in front of me, and it keeps like disconnecting.
So this bill is not really contentious.
No.
It's pretty straightforward. I would say yes.
Yeah, I'm a yes vote on
Let's
this
do
one.
it. I'm into it too. But CERN, you got to deliver some shit this time.
Well, I don't know what they have delivered.
There's some like articles that I'll have to bring up next time. But there's
Yeah.
but that the people who complain about it say they haven't delivered enough.
So give us some of your personal experiences with this. You're talking about how you met with some doctors and scientists. What has anything positive come out for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, like for me, so the Reeves Irvine Research Center up in University of California, Irvine, I did a couple of videos for them where I was basically documenting a breakthrough technology they had that was for regeneration of axons in the spinal cord. So when you break your neck, basically it's pretty straightforward. Like the problem is like these axons in your neck won't regenerate. And so the signals aren't making it down from the motor cortex of your brain to the muscles that you need to move. So the idea behind P10 is there a gene that we can activate that's going to regenerate these axons? So P10 actually did this and did it pretty aggressively. Like it basically, but it didn't grow fast enough. It grew at like the rate of human hair. So it would take a couple of years to grow, basically a new nerve from your brain all the way down to wherever it needs to go.
At least it wasn't there before, so
yeah, exactly.
Better than nothing.
So that was like a huge breakthrough, and so I was working with Bob Yant and Dr. Oz to help them make like a promotional video showcasing this new breakthrough in the technology that then they sent to a bunch of congressmen and stuff like that. So it was really cool. I think the thing for me that it did more than anything, more than like cure anything, was like show me that there is a body of people out there who are working diligently on trying to cure something that, like the applications for stem cells are,
Huge.
Limitless,
right?
Huge.
It's like endless. So I was just digging into my little niche of it of spinal cord injury.
Literally don't need to donate your kidney anymore. It could literally just be grown in the lab.
Yeah, you could like grow yourself replacement parts. And
3D printing with stem cells.
yeah, I mean it's
Get new tendons.
incredible what could
I
be
want
done.
a third arm.
I already have one.
Yeah, so it was great to work with them and just kind of understand it all better. Once a year they do something called Meet the Scientists, where basically they get some top researchers in the field and they bring them to their lab in Irvine, and you can cruise up there and just sit there and they'll each share what they're working on, and then you can do live Q&A with them. And so I remember the first year this, I was aware of this. I was like, oh my God, these are like the top researchers in the space. There's probably gonna be like thousands of people there. And like,
Yeah, there's like 50.
yeah,
maybe.
you get up there, there's like 35 people,
Yeah.
And they're all just, and it's
Nerd talk.
honestly, it's a bunch of guys in wheelchairs. Like, when do you think you're going to cure me?
Oh,
Like,
damn.
I mean, not totally, but like there's a bit of that,
That's a sad photo.
yeah. And then there's like a lot of people who are, out there just fundraising super hard to try to help them raise money and stuff like that. So, I do know that when Bush cut the funding for this, I mean, it was a huge roadblock. And a lot of great researchers jumped ship and went over to cancer research and some other
It's
things.
definitely this hypocrisy line with people, and it's the abortion type of people is
We want to save these lives, but not these lives.
Those lives, right? And when you think, it's like, well, what life do you value? And it's like, well, you value the human life, but you eat meat, you get benefits from antibiotic testing, from vaccine testing.
Yeah.
We're slaughtering animals at unprecedented rates.
Or how about this? You want to stir controversy over a suspected child molester ring, but you're not going to say anything about the real child molester ring, aka the Catholic Church.
Yes.
Well, and then,
Although that's a very big jump from killing babies, now they're touching babies.
Not really.
I
Yeah.
guess they're still
What is the
hurting babies.
Catholic Church against?
so
Abortion.
true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the same time, you're willing to send your.
I thought you were
know,
going to say Subway for a second. I was like,
yeah,
damn.
you're willing to send people off to war to kill tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And
It's
no
a really
qualms there.
weird. It's a
So-
weird line to draw. You know.
When we were in college, a buddy of mine brought up a brilliant point. You got an X amount of money that you're going to spend in taxes. You should be able to check off some very simple, generic boxes of where you want those funds to go to. Are you for war?
Dude,
No. Check
it's
no.
easy.
I've
Are
always
you
liked that
for
idea.
War? Sure. Check war. Whatever. Just some simple stuff. I mean, I wish that our local ballots were like that.
More flexibility, rank order stuff.
Yeah.
So next week, or next time we talk, I don't know if it's next week. I think we have to do another one.
Next week we're up. Yeah. Here's what's happening next week.
Mhm.
The first presidential debate.
Oh
Biden
God!
and Trump.
Oh,
On Tuesday.
Did they confirm that?
On Tuesday
That's
next week
gross.
during our podcast.
I think it's gonna be bloody.
I propose we get together, we turn on the microphones and we record it, and we have some beers while we do it.
I love this idea.
I
and
say
think
we do
should
that
it.
plus podcast time.